Yo, Fidzy here, aka Hegassen, and it is hotter than a Wano Bathhouse in the UK right now. I am boiling, but speaking of bathhouses, this episode 931 is the Wano Bathhouse episode. But first of all, we have to deal with Luffy a little bit back in Udon prison as he's trying to escape. The episode is called Climb Up, Luffy's Desperate Escape. And I was a little bit worried at first because I was like, oh no, they're going to really stretch this out. Because it didn't look like from the previews and the thumbnails and even the name of the episode that it was going to ever go to the bathhouse and deal with all of that stuff. I felt like that they were just going to stretch out this Luffy trying to escape stuff, give us like a lot of filler. And they did stretch it out, but not a lot. And also, thankfully, this episode, it started at the 3 minutes and 5 seconds mark. So, you know, we managed to reclaim a little bit of time. We knew we were getting a much fuller episode, unlike the last episode. And the stuff with Luffy, it was all right. It wasn't as good as kind of the fights that we saw last week. The animation wasn't as clean. It wasn't as high quality, but it was all right. They didn't expand on it as much as I thought. And just before the halfway mark, we finally got to the bathhouse, where most of this episode is actually set. The title was very misleading. I thought they might have clickbaited it up like a hot times in the bathhouse. Nami and Robin get steamy or something like that, but they didn't. They went with the Luffy climbing the wall trying to escape thing, which I don't know, it makes it a nice surprise, I guess, as you're watching this episode, and kind of good for them for not overdoing it, at least not as much as the Twitter feeds were overdoing these scenes when this episode actually came out, or here on the Hegassen channel, because most of this review is gonna be around the bathhouse. Thank you, by the way, for tuning in and checking out my review. Let me know your thoughts of the episode down in the comments below. So let's talk about the bathhouse straight away. Yep, it's gonna be a fan service episode. It's gonna be one of them episodes, and they are not shying away from it, to the point where some of the scenes I don't even want to show them shots on my channel, just in case I get it taken down or flagged up for them, because some of them were a little bit risky. What are these? Are these knees or are these something else? I took a lot of screenshots for obvious production and research reasons only, and I'm not going to show them all here, but there was one noticeable difference between the anime and the manga, and that was, or two I should say, and that was the decrease in the waterline on Nami and the increase on certain aspects, once again on Nami. And one of the main questions that I have coming out of this episode is, does Nami not have nipples? Where are they? I mean, either these are the tips of the icebergs and there is a lot more going on underneath the water, or just Nami doesn't have nipples, people in Wano just don't have nipples, because they were out. You know, it was 9:30 in the morning in Japan and they were out on family-friendly telly. You're essentially looking at a very naked Nami in this episode. And the anime definitely embellished it a lot more than the manga. It obviously does make you kind of question, like, how does this air at 9:30 in the morning in Japan? And then you remember that it is, of course, Japan, and you get the biggest reminder that it is, of course, from Japan when octopi get involved. Yeah, it gets a little bit weird. They go into like the next part of the bathhouse and there are these octopi, the same one from the beginning of the Wano arc, and they start washing them, and it's a little bit weird and it's a little bit hentai, but it's pretty cool and it's pretty funny. It's kind of like Onepiece version of the Flintstones, and it has potentially some connections to like traditional Japanese art. A lot of Wano is all about kind of Japanese history, Japanese culture, and blending it into One Piece. And if you Google at your own risk, because I ain't going to show it here, some artwork called The Fisherman's Wife, you might see where the influence for these octopi come from. I should point out that, you know, again, look it up at your own risk. Not suitable for work, 18 only, please. But the bathhouse isn't just about boobs and hentai. It's also got some plot in there, but it's mainly just kind of Shinobu talking a little bit about her backstory and about HYOGORO the Flower. Once again, we get confirmation here that HYOGORO the Flower is the little old man that Luffy's with, old man Hyo, and he has had some serious loss of gains over the years. But most of the stuff, actually, even though it was visually very, very impressive in the bathhouse, it was a little bit boring. There were some funny scenes, there was some fun stuff with it being a mixed bathhouse, but overall, a lot of the stuff, it was just Shinobu talking, and it wasn't that exciting. Even though it was like gold tier to look at, what was actually being said was a little bit of a yawn. So it makes it kind of hard to rate this episode. Obviously, when it was the chapter, and you can hear my manga thoughts where I talk a lot more about the plot over in my manga reviews. It was a lot better because this episode and the episode before were all in one chapter, so there was a lot more going on. We got a little bit at the end that was more of a tease as to what's coming up, with Luffy once again going into a sumo ring, this time with Queen in charge of the sumo ring, and the reveal that the person in the cage was Karamatsu. But for the most part, this episode, it was a little bit boring. It was a little bit boring. The fight stuff at the beginning with Luffy wasn't as good as what we got in the week prior. And even though the stuff in the bathhouse, like I said, was very good to look at, it wasn't as interesting to actually listen to what they were talking about. So I'd probably only give this episode a blue tier, which is a real shame because I really enjoyed the chapters they were based on. Now I gotta go because it is really hot in my room and my brain is just... So I hope what I just recorded makes sense. Hey, so thanks for watching. What did you think? Let me know about it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed my video, maybe give it a like, and if you really liked it, why not subscribe? You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram and Twitch. Oh, and here's a related video you might enjoy, and something more fresh. I've been Hegassen, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!